Shabbat Shalom, good evening, and welcome and greetings to the 12 tribes of the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who are scattered into the four corners of the earth, according to Bible prophecy, and who are now awaiting the return of the Messiah, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, which is to happen very soon. Greetings. Greetings to the 144,000 among them, who also are being prepared for the last few years of the present world order. Greetings. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field and the first responders, trying in this very violent and dangerous world to save lives. Blessings upon those that pick up garbage to keep streets and sidewalks clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women trying to rescue and deliver boys and girls, babies and toddlers and children and adults from pornography, from child pornography, from prostitution, from child prostitution, from child molestation and pedophilia, from human trafficking and sex slavery, and double curses on the perverts, perpetrators, and profiteers that traffic in this human misery. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. Nearly 600,000 men, women, and children living on the streets right now in the United States of America, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, no matter who they are, for theirs is the kingdom. Greetings to the brothers and sisters in the chat, Brother Yacoba, Chaplain Lewis, Brother Kelly, Bathaman, Isha, Naviska, Brother Williams. Congratulations to Brother Williams on the birth of his baby. Just how old the baby now? Is about a week old, Brother Williams. Praise the Most High to him, for him and his wife. They welcomed a new addition to their family. I believe you named the child Ahia. Is that correct, Brother Williams? I believe you named the child Ahia. Praise the Most High for that. And blessings upon that family. So we have been studying the book of Revelation. 3 days. That's right. Wow. Time flies. Never know these days if it's a week or it's 3 days. Wow. Praise the Most High. 3 days or Ahia. That's right. That's right. Ahia. That's right. If I'm not mistaken, the baby was 7 pounds, 7.7 ounces. Is that correct, Brother Williams? 7 pounds, 7.7 ounces. If that's not a sign, brother, if that's not a sign, huh? Praise the Most High. Praise the Most High. So we have been studying the book of books that shows us all the signs, the book of Revelation. And we have been going through already the 7 churches, the 7 seals, and now we're in the 7 trumpets. And we just completed the 5th trumpet, and now we're going to take time on the 6th trumpet, as we have talked about from both the churches and the seals, that we take more time with the 6th trumpet for several reasons. First of all, the 6th church, the 6th seal, and the 6th trumpet are right now. Right now. We're in that time right now. Also, in those things, you also will see the 144,000 who are the sign of the return of the Messiah. You also see the return of the Messiah in the 6th church, the 6th trumpet, the 6th seal. And so all of these things are taking place, and we are living in it. It's not something that we need to, wait for in the future. It's happening right now. And the Bible shows his people, the Bible says, the revelation of the Messiah, Yahushua, which Yah gave unto him, to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. So, as the servants of the Most High, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob by blood, along with those who through the blood of the eternal Messiah have been grafted into our numbers, the Most High revealing to us what is happening, what has happened to lead us here, and what is shortly about to happen in the next couple of years. We are the generation that are going to see the return of the Messiah. Ahaya is the generation and the children that's going to see the return of the Messiah. We don't have to wait more generations. It's coming in our generation. And the word of the Most High is showing us that. It's showing us everything. Everything is in this book right here. Okay, everything is in there. And if you've been listening to these studies, not just the ones we're doing now on the book of Revelation, but any of the previous studies we did, Deuteronomy, Ezekiel, Isaiah, Romans, Hebrews, many studies we have done, you will bear witness that all the prophetic utterance taught was all coming from this book. All the prophetic utterance was coming from one source, this book right here. Okay? And so you could bear witness that this book will lead us through these last few years of the existence of this world order in which we're in. We talked on Wednesday night about how on the dollar bill, they talk about on the dollar bill, the all-seeing eye and the world order. And we compared man's world order to the kingdom of Yah that's about to be unleashed and revealed and established. And so I don't want to call it the end of the world because the world's still going to exist. It's going to be the end of this age, the end of this order, the annihilation and destruction of this order, and the establishment of the true new order, the order of Yah, of Messiah's kingdom of perfect righteousness, where there'll be no more death, where there'll be no more pain, there'll be no more sex slavery and human trafficking, there'll be no more pornography and prostitution, there'll be no more disease, nor hospital, nor need for any. There'll be no more prison system. There'll be no more hunger or homelessness. There'll be no more sorrow and pain and unfairness. None of these will exist in the coming kingdom, which is why we are excited for the coming kingdom. And we praise the Most High that he shows us this in his word. And again, I'm not here to promote any book that I wrote, any denomination that I belong to, which I don't. I'm here to promote this book right here, this King James Bible that you can get anywhere while it's still available. And I'm here to tell you, read this book. And when I say read it, I don't mean just read a psalm or a couple of chapters or the New Testament only or the books of Moses only. No, when I say read it, I mean begin in Genesis and go straight through to the book of Revelation. And then when you do that, start over and do it again. And ask the Heavenly Father's Spirit to guide you. Because between those two things, he will show you everything that's coming. And you won't be surprised by anything. And on top of that, he will lead you and have you prepared for everything that's coming. And it's all coming very, very quickly, as we have been told in the word, shown us. So tonight, we still have a little bit to finish from the previous study. The sixth trumpet. In fact, let's take a look at it. Revelation chapter 9. Now, with the sixth trumpet, as you saw in the sixth seal, and as you saw in the sixth church, there's a lot more information given than any of the other churches, seals, and trumpets. So in the sixth trumpet, it actually begins in the area called chapter 9 of the book of Revelation. It goes through chapter 10 and through chapter 11 to the end of chapter 11. You don't get to the seventh trumpet till you get to chapter 11 and verse 15. So from Revelation chapter 9, verse 14, you go through chapter 9, you go through chapter 10, you go through chapter 11, and all of that is the sixth trumpet. Just like when we started in the sixth seal in Revelation chapter 6, verse 12, and we went through the rest of chapter 6, through chapter 7, into the first verse of chapter 8, which was the seventh seal. So you can see there's a lot of information. Now, here in Revelation chapter 9, we had just finished the fifth seal. And if you recall, it talked about here in chapter 9, a star falling from heaven and having a key to a place called the bottomless pit. And opening the bottomless pit, it was all symbolic of something. And having man-like locusts come out of the pit and had them attack people, but not kill them, for 150 years. Okay, now we talked about that. And when it said attack and not kill, we talked about the conflict between the Byzantine Empire and the Ottoman Empire. The Byzantine Empire was a remnant of the old Roman Empire and the beginning of what we now know as the Holy Roman Empire. The Ottoman Empire was an empire that was beginning through Islam, through the spread of Islam. Okay, we know that the Byzantine Empire started with Constantine in the 4th century. And that through Constantine in the 4th century becoming a Christian, it developed into what became the Catholic Church, so that in 508 AD, the King of France, who was baptized as a Catholic, said that the Bishop of Rome is the corrector of all heretics. That was the 6th century. Then in the 7th century, you had Muhammad receiving his testimony that he said he was spoken to in a mountain by who he called Allah. And he had people, scribes, write down what he claimed he saw. Those writings became the Quran. That was the 7th century. And from that point, the new religion of Islam spread into Asia Minor, into what's now India, which turned into Pakistan and Bangladesh, into what's called the Middle East, and of course, into Africa. And when you got to 1303, remember we talked about the Battle of Dumbo. And in that battle, that was when the Ottomans started beating down the Byzantine, 1303. And then 150 years, or as it talked about in Revelation, 5 months, they battled. And it said, remember the word said in Revelation chapter 9, let's start at verse 3 and go to verse 6. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power. And it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of Yah in their foreheads. And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. And in those days men shall seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. What is all that? It would not destroy Catholicism. Islam would not overcome Catholicism, but it would torment Christianity and Catholicism. Does that make sense? It would torment it in the form of the Ottoman Empire. Okay? And at the end of that 150 years, in 1453, the city of Constantinople that was founded by Constantine and had existed under the control of the Romans for 1,200 years, or almost 1,200 years. It was taken by the Ottomans, and the name was changed to Istanbul, which it is to this day. Okay? That was 1453, which brings us to where we are today. Now, we talked about how in the book of Daniel, chapter 11, at the end of the book of Daniel, at the end of chapter 11, it talked about two kings, the king of the north and the king of the south, and how the king of the south would attack the king of the north, but the king of the north would respond with even greater attacks. And we referenced the fact that for the last, I'd say at least, let's put it like 1990, but it was before that in covert actions, but openly from 1990 to now, which is, we're talking about 30 years. So the United States has been used to spank Islam. It's been used to go into their lands, take their oil, kill their men, women, and children with drone strikes and bombs. And they've been doing that all during that time. Then when 9/11 came, they blamed Iraq, which had nothing to do with it. They would later admit Iraq had nothing to do with it. But they would bomb Iraq and its men and women and children to the tune of over 500,000 civilians to get control of their oil. When the man they claimed they were after was in Afghanistan, and they knew that. So we fought 2 wars, and the corporations that funded these wars made billions and billions of dollars every month fighting these 2 wars, spanking the Muslims and fleecing the American people. If you know now, the wars in Afghanistan lasted more than 20 years. What war in the modern era lasted 20 years and was costing multiple billions every month for 20 years? Okay. Somebody can you all hear? It sounds like somebody said they can't hear. Can you type a 1 if you can hear? Testing 1, 2, 3. I'm a little delayed, so I'm going to wait until you hear what I just said. Can you type a 1 if you can hear? Because it's not buffering on my end. Okay, it's not buffering on my end. If it's usually buffering, it would see some sign. You know, we've happened to us multiple times, so we know. But so, as I was saying, that's the king of the north coming back at the king of the south. Okay, Also, we are told in prophecy in multiple places. We went, and I think we saw in Leviticus and Deuteronomy. I think we also saw it in Ezekiel, or was it Isaiah? Might have been both, because all of them bear witness that the Israelites would be taken off the land, scattered into the four corners of the earth, and worship gods of wood and stone. And we alluded to the fact that Christianity worships a cross of wood. And on every edifice, there's this cross. And that all Muslims, at some point in their life, hope to make what they call a pilgrimage to Mecca. And this pilgrimage, this Mecca, is a spot in Saudi Arabia where it is claimed that Muhammad taught the people and received messages. And what it is, it's a building made of stone. And you see people there by the thousands, Muslims by the thousands come there and they bow before this stone. And when they pray wherever they are toward Mecca. Okay? Wood and stone. So the Old Testament, again, bear witness what Revelation is saying. That brings us now to the sixth trumpet. Now, this next part used to bother me until the Most High revealed it to me. So it took me years of prayer and study to get to this here. So I'm praising the Most High that I can share this with y'all and ask that you would pray and study so that you can come to your conclusions according to as the Most High reads, as you read his word. But here in Revelation chapter 9, I'm going to start at verse 12, and I'm going to read from verse 12 down to verse 15. Okay, from 12 to 15. One woe is past, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter. Talking about the last three that we're talking about. You know, the fifth, the sixth, and the seventh, right? And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before the Most High, saying to the sixth angel, which had the trumpet, loose the four angels, which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the four angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year, for to slay the third part of men. Okay, an hour and a day and a month and a year. So before we get there, let's go back a step. It said that the sixth angel sound. Remember, there were seven angels preparing themselves to sound trumpets. That's what we started with when we're looking at the seven trumpets. Let's go back to chapter 8 for a second, and let's look at that. And let's go back what we studied, chapter 8. Let's look at verse 2 and verse 3. Okay? Revelation chapter 8, 2 and 3, because that's being referenced here. And I saw the seven angels which stood before Yah, and to them were given seven trumpets. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer. And there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all saints upon the golden altar, which was before the throne. And the smoke of the incense which came with the prayers of the saints ascended up before Yah out of the angel's hand. And the angel took the censer and filled it with fire of the altar and cast it into the earth. And there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake. So it shows us there are those whose prayers were being heard, and there are those whose prayers are not being heard, because the golden censer that would fill with incense that should come with the prayers of the saints, he filled it and he cast it into the earth. Okay. And we also studied at that time, when we just looked at that, we studied the meaning of the trumpet sound. It's the Messiah's voice. It's a sound of warning. It's a sound introducing something to come. Okay. So here in the sixth trumpet, he said, loose the four angels which are bound in the river Euphrates. But before that it said, he heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar. So there was a voice of the angel that was at the golden altar. That is the altar of incense. The angel that threw the censer to the earth. And he heard him speak. And he said, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. Now, biblically speaking, what power, what world power in the Bible did the river Euphrates flow through? What world power of what we talked about in the Bible did the river Euphrates flow through? That's right. It flew through Babylon. That's correct. Let's take a look in Jeremiah. Jeremiah, I want to say it's chapter 51. Let's take a look. Jeremiah chapter 51. Jeremiah chapter 51. And I'm going to read Jeremiah 51. I'm going to read from verse 59 down to verse 64. Jeremiah chapter 51 from verses 59 to 64. The word which Jeremiah the prophet commanded Shariah, the son of Nariah, the son of Maashiah, when he went with Zedekiah, the king of Judah, into Babylon, in the 4th year of his reign. And this Shariah was a quiet prince. So Jeremiah wrote in a book all the evil that should come upon Babylon, even all these words that are written against Babylon. And Jeremiah said to Shariah, when thou comest to Babylon, and shalt see and shalt read all these words, then shalt thou say, O Yahweh, thou hast spoken against this place, talking about against Babylon, to cut it off, that none shall remain in it, neither man nor beast, but that it shall be desolate forever. And it shall be, when thou hast made an end of reading this book, that thou shalt bind a stone to it and cast it into the midst of Euphrates. Thou shalt say, thus shall Babylon sink, and shall not rise from the evil that I will bring upon her, and they shall be weary. Thus far are the words of Jeremiah. So you can see here, Euphrates is in Babylon. That's when we're looking at it here, we're looking at the literal world power of Babylon, right? But in the book of Revelation, the last world order is called Babylon. You see what I'm saying? So whereas that was a specific place, a specific nation, in the book of Revelation, it's the whole world order. Mystery. Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. You see? So it's a whole world order. So here, in the mention of Euphrates, and you're going to see it again in Revelation as we go through the 7 last plagues, it's representing the crossing of a river and the invasion of Babylon by enemy forces. Remember what the Messiah said? Upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Do you ever think about what does that mean when he said, the gates of hell shall not prevail against it? You ever think about that? In the Bible times, the capital cities of nations all had giant walls around them, including Jerusalem. And the walls represented power, but it also represented protection. So if an enemy came, the leaders could be behind that wall with armies, with weapons to defend themselves against an enemy that was coming against them. And generally, they had seriously heavy, powerful gates to enter and leave the city. And so if an enemy could break through the gates, they can take the city. That's why Messiah said, Upon this rock, I'm going to build my church. And again, Christians take it to mean some denomination with a wooden cross on it. But really, when he talk about church, he's talking about his nation. As we know, Israel is a nation. Upon this rock, I'm going to build my nation. And the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. In other words, it's going to bust Babylon open. And it's going to take and destroy it. Got it? So here in Revelation chapter 9, it says, loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. That is, loose the angels that are, remember in the 5th trumpet, the Muslims had an angel over them. And the angel was called Abaddon or Apollyon, the destroyer. So it's saying, loose these angels that are in the river Euphrates representing Babylon. And he said, notice what it said. Verse 15, and the 4 angels were loose, which were prepared, and it gives you a prophetic time. This is where it gets a little bit mathematical, okay? Just like we saw in the previous trumpet with the 150-year period that I showed you was from 1303 to 1453 in the establishment, the official establishment of the Ottoman Empire. Okay, that was the 150 years. Watch this now. So let's add up this time prophetically. 1 hour in Bible prophecy. Now remember, in Bible prophecy, a day is equal to a year. Right? Numbers 14:34, Ezekiel 4:6. A day is equal to a year. Okay? So if the prophetic utterance said a day, you know that means a year. Well, what about an hour? An hour would be 1/24th of a day, right? If a day is 24 hours long, 1 hour is 1/24th of a day. Does that make sense, y'all? Did I lose you yet? You understand that part? So if I said an hour, it's 1/24th. That's right. Jacoba got it. It's 1/24th of a day. So how you would do that is you would take a 360-day year and divide it by 24. And you would get the equivalent of a prophetic hour. It's 15 days. Okay? So we got that part. 15 days. That's actually the hardest part. All right? That's actually the hardest part. So we're finished with the hardest part. Let's go to the next one. Okay? A day. That's easy, right? So if it's a day, it's what? It's a year. So you have a year and 15 days. Okay? Right, let's keep going. A month. Well, that's easy too. That's 30 days. In biblical time, a month is 30 days. So now you have 31 days in 15 days. 31 years, I'm sorry, in 15 days. You have 31 years in 15 days. Does that make sense so far? 31 years in 15 days. Okay. So far, so good? Okay. Next. A year. In the Bible, a year is 360 days. 360 days. Okay. So now you have 360 plus 30 plus 1. So you have 391 years and 15 days. Does that make sense so far? I'm preparing you. I'm getting ready to blow you away for us in a second. For those of you that have been studying with us from the beginning, it's going to blow you away. You know the Bible is a book of prophetic numbers, right? I mean, I think we've already seen that. But this one's going to catch you now. So you have 391 years. Let's forget the 15 days for a second, okay? But we could deal with that later. But you have 391 years. All right. Here's some math. Are you ready? Here's some math. The Ottoman Empire was established in 1453. That was the end of the 150 years. Add 391 years to 1453 and tell me where do you end up? Add 391 years to 1453 and tell me, where do you end up? Now, all right, now, why is that significant? Why is 1844 significant? Yeah, that's right, 1844. Now, why is that significant? 1844. That's right. That's the cleansing of the sanctuary. The beginning of where we are right now. So, in other words, the Most High, that's right, the Most High was showing us the establishment of one of the three so-called Abrahamic religions, and then getting us to 1844, where he was planning to cleanse the sanctuary and return. But he showed us in the Bible there was going to be a delay because the true Hebrews were enslaved. So he brought us all the way to that point prophetically to understand from that point to now, all he's working on, all he cares about is the development of the 144,000. That's it. That's all he's working on. Now, there's a lot of other things that are happening and will happen in Bible prophecy, as we have seen, like from Revelation 13. But he's showing us that to let us know all the things happening around us. His focus is on 144,000, which is why you see in Revelation 13, you see the dragon being the star, really, of Revelation 13, right? You see the dragon, we talked about this, the dragon giving power, seat, and authority to the beast, then the dragon being inside the lamb-like beast. The dragon is the controlling factor of chapter 13, right? And I like to put it like this. Chapter 13 starts out showing the power of Rome in its finished work before the end of the age. And the rest of 13 shows you how it got there. Well then, chapter 14 shows the finished work of Yah. And the rest of the chapter shows you how we got there. Let's look at Revelation 14. We're not going to look at the whole thing. All we need is the first verse. Revelation 14, verse 1. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads. That's the end result of the kingdom of Yah. Messiah on Mount Zion with the 144,000 out of all the tribes of the children of Israel, which we know they're being Levites that represent all the tribes. That's the finish. Then the rest of the chapter shows you how we got there. Okay? So now, that's why you go from 1303 in the beginning of the fifth seal, and you end up in 1844 in the sixth seal. Y'all got it? Y'all got it? Mr. Barker, I'm sorry. This is not the Knicks, even though it's on my channel. This is not a Knicks discussion. We're doing a Bible study. It's easy for him to bottom on, for him to misunderstand, because I've used this platform for the Knicks as well. So he obviously didn't know what he was walking into, right, Mr. Barker? So I'm gonna let you step off if this because this is a Bible study at this point. We're doing a Bible study right now, Mr. Barker. And so my apologies for your confusion. And so that's what we do. Just letting you know that. Okay. So he wouldn't have known that. Bottom up. Okay. Yeah. This is the Shabbat. Raw Hebrews doing Hebrew stuff right now. Yes, I apologize. Yeah. But yeah, I know it's easy for someone to walk in and his mind has probably been working hard all week, and he comes in, he just wants to talk about the Knicks. And I get that. It's okay, Mr. Barker. I get it. But tonight we focusing on the spiritual side. Just to let you know. Okay. All right. So y'all got me so far. So you can see how we arrive at 1844 in the 6th. Okay. You can see how we arrive at 1844 when we study Daniel and the cleansing of the sanctuary. And so you can understand the importance of that time and how now the Most High is letting us know that there's nothing stopping the return of Messiah except he needs to complete the work of the development of the 144,000. That's it. We see the beast doing his thing. We see the U.S. doing their thing, the dragon doing their thing, all good. But to Yah, there's one thing he's focused on. It's not the UN. It's not the Vatican. It's not the U.S. president. It's not global warming. There's one thing he's focused on. The development of 144,000, which coincides, as we know, with the general awakening of the Hebrews. Okay, let me show you one more scripture regarding that in Deuteronomy chapter 30, one of my favorite ones. At one point, I had this chapter completely memorized. The Most High had me memorize this chapter before I knew who I was. There was just something about Deuteronomy. Okay, but let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 30, because this is the deal with the awakening, which includes the 144,000, obviously, but the general population of the scattered nation as well. No problem, Brother Barker. No problem. Yeah, no problem. You're more than welcome. I just didn't want you to think we were going to be talking Knicks today, and I can understand why you would have that expectation. Put it that way. I can understand why you would have that expectation, but yeah, we're not dealing with Knicks tonight. But if you look at Deuteronomy chapter 30, beginning at verse 1, and I'm going to read from verse 1 down to verse 3. Deuteronomy chapter 30, from verse 1 to verse 3, understanding this also goes along with 1844, goes along with what we studied in Daniel, goes along with what we studied in Revelation, in the 6th church, the 6th seal, and now the 6th trumpet. And look what we see here in prophetic utterance, Deuteronomy chapter 30, beginning at verse 1. Now, really, the whole chapter, you want to read that. But right now, just for the sake of time and what we're going to be covering, I want to just give you the synopsis, which is the first 3 verses. Okay, but I do suggest you please read the whole thing. Okay, and it shall come to pass. That's from the time Moses gave this, future tense, right? He's talking to the children of Israel in Deuteronomy. This is future tense. He said, it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee. We know that's from Deuteronomy 28. And thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, with Yahweh thy most high have scattered thee. So it's going to come to pass when the curse comes on us, and that's what caused many of us to awaken, understanding that there was a curse on us and why. When the curse comes on us, we don't even know nothing about the blessing. We know our fathers knew, but we knew about the curse. He said, and you shall call them to mind. In other words, you start to say, have you ever asked this question? Why us? I think every brother and sister in America, if you lived long enough, you would have asked that question multiple times. Why us? Why are we different? Why are we treated this way? It shall come to pass when all these things come upon thee, the blessings and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind. That's part of the awakening. Okay? Among all the nations, with Yahweh thy most high have driven thee, and shalt return unto Yahweh thy most high, and shalt obey his voice, according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thy heart and with all thy soul. That then, what happens next? That then Yahweh thy most high will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations where the Yahweh thy most high have scattered thee. Let's get another witness, right? I don't want people to think, I love that one though, but I don't want people to think that, that was it, right? Nope, that wasn't it. Let's go to Zechariah. What should I go to Zechariah? I could go Zechariah too, but I also like Ezekiel. So let's get the same witness from Ezekiel. And these prophets speak these things multiple times. So it's not like, I mean, the Most High really wanted to make sure we got this one. Okay. But Ezekiel, I love chapter 36. Chapter 36 of Ezekiel. Oh my goodness. Notice what it said. I'm going to start at verse 16. Man. I'm going to start at verse 16 and I'm going to bring it down to verse 28. 13 verse, 16 to 28. Second witness about the awakening that we are going to be reading about, or we've been reading about in the 6s of the book of Revelation. Here we go. Ezekiel 36, beginning at verse 16 and going down to verse 28. And please read this, man. We did a whole study in the book of Ezekiel. You can go find that. Please read that book for yourself. Read the whole prophecy. Okay. You're not going to understand everything. Don't expect to. It's a spiritual exercise. The Spirit of the Most High will awaken you. That's what this is about. Okay. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way and by their doings. Their way was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman. Wherefore I poured out my fury upon them for the blood that they had shed upon the land and for their idols wherewith they had polluted it. And I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed through the countries, according to their way, according to their doings, I judged them. And when they entered into the heathen, whither they went, they profaned my holy name. When they said to them, These are the people of Yahweh, and are gone forth out of his land. But I had pity for my holy name, which the house of Israel had profaned among the heathen, whither they went. Therefore say unto the house of Israel, Thus saith the Most High Yahweh, I do not this for your sakes, O house of Israel, but for my holy name's sake, which ye have profaned among the heathen, whither ye went. And I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which ye have profaned in the midst of them. And the heathen shall know that I am Yahweh, saith the Most High Yahweh, when I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes. For I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries and will bring you into your own land. Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and ye shall be clean. From all your filthiness and from all your idols will I cleanse you. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh. And I will put my spirit within you, and cause you to walk in my statutes, and ye shall keep my judgments and do them. And ye shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers. Ye shall be my people, and I will be your Most High. That's the 6s of the book of Revelation. It's the 144,000. It's the awakening. It's what we are now experiencing. You see what I say? We are now experiencing right now what thousands of years of prophets have spoken. We are now experiencing it. Remember what Messiah told the apostles. He said, many prophets and wise men wanted to see what you're seeing right now. And you're getting to see it. That's what he told. Because all the prophets prophesied about Messiah, but they didn't see him. The disciples were blessed to be there in his presence, to hear him talk, to eat with him, to live with him for 3.5 years. He said many prophets and wise men wanted to do that, but no, you guys are chosen. Well, let me tell you something. We are reading right now prophets and wise men that have spoken thousands of years ago about us today. That's some privileged thing, man. All them thousands of years, all of them wanted to see what you and I are getting ready to go through, what we're living, the awakening we're dealing with. Here we are. Okay, we were brought forth into existence for such a time as this. Okay, praise the Most High. And remember what we just read. He said, I'm not doing this for your sake. It's for my holy name's sake. Right? For my holy name's sake. So that's kind of the theme of the awakening, is it not? The theme is not about a camp or 501c3 corporation. The theme is the Father's glory. Right? The theme is the Father's glory. What we are seeking is the Father's glory, because it's for his holy name's sake. See? It's for his holy name's sake. And we praise him for that. So now, let's go back now to Revelation chapter 9. So you can see how we ended up at 1844 and why that's significant. Okay, and now that it's been set up, now he's going to continue to speak about what happened over that 391-year period. Okay, now let's look at that, because this is the attack of Islam. Not only was it established the Ottoman Empire, but the Ottoman Empire spread into Africa. And who was in Africa? Our fathers. And so you had the spread and you had the development of empires, Islamic empires. They developed schools and universities, and they forced people, including the Hebrews, to convert. You're talking about the Mali Empire, the Ashanti Empire. You heard of Timbuktu. You talk about empires that were established in libraries in Egypt that they're just finding out now, that had thousands of books on medicine, thousands of books on astronomy, on all the mathematics and science. And we was there. Our fathers was there for a minute. And so that when they sold us, when the heathens sold us to the children of Japhet, we was Muslims. A lot of us still knew who we was, because you still have people to this day of the Igbo tribe, the Yoruba tribe, people in Ashanti tribe, people in the Lemba tribe, that still, all of that time, people in Ethiopia knew who they was. But even that, we were still influenced. If you look at Ethiopia today, you got people that understand they're a bloodline Hebrews, but they still following Abyssinia, which is Christianity. Go to show you. But even though they follow in Abyssinia, at least they know that the Messiah was a black man. They understand that. Okay. But they were following Abyssinia, and they following Christianity from the Roman Catholic Church. That's what they follow. But even in history, when you look at it, the Roman Catholic Church had a hard time getting the Ethiopians to accept Sunday, because they were Sabbath keepers from back in Judah. See, so it was, there's been a lot going on, but even all that time, you still had a remnant of people that never forgot who they were. With all of those thousands of years and all of that problem, they still remembered who they were. Okay, and you still, of course, now the awakening is happening on a worldwide basis, and now we're where Judah, mostly the southern kingdom of Judah went, which is the United States, the Caribbean islands, all of them. South America, where Judah went, now that's where the heat is. Greatest heat and the greatest awakening. Right? The greatest heat and the greatest awakening. There you go. Back to Revelation chapter 9. Back to Revelation chapter 9. So now we see the 391 years and 15 days. Let's continue at verse 16, reading from verse 16 down to verse 21, 6 verses left of Revelation chapter 9, which explains what went on during that 391 years. Let's look at it. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000. And I heard the number of them. In other words, there was a lot of them. Islam spread like wildfire. And they came through during that time period. They came through, okay? And thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and brimstone. And the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions. And out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. By these three was the third part of men killed, by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths. For their power is in their mouth and in their tails. You remember what the tail stands for? in the Bible? Some of y'all, here's a test question. In the Bible, what does the tail stand for? You're going to see tail a couple of times. The Bible gives us a definition of what the tail stands for. What does the tail stand for? I'm going to show you in a second, but I want to see if y'all remember, because it was several books ago we studied this book, and we talked about that. The tail. Tail represents something. It said in their mouth and in their tail. What the tail represent? Almost, but not quite. Tail is last. That's right, maturity approach. When I show it to you, you're going to bug them because you're going to say, oh, yeah. You ready? Here we go. Here we go. No, not quite. But here we go. All right, ready? Let's go to Isaiah. We studied this when we studied Isaiah. Maybe some of y'all might not have been here when we did that, but when we studied Isaiah, we studied it. All right, Isaiah chapter 9. Isaiah chapter 9. Ready? Isaiah chapter 9. That's right. Heavenly God remembers. Praise the Most High. Praise the Most High. It's lies. That's what it represents. And it's not just lies. It's who is the lies coming from. Watch. Isaiah chapter 9. I'm going to start at verse 13. And I'm going to go to verse 16. Isaiah chapter 9, 13 to 16. Are you ready? But yeah, none of y'all are too far off, for real, because all of that is true. But watch what it says here. For the people turneth not unto him that smiteth them, neither do they seek Yahweh of hosts. Therefore Yahweh will cut off from Israel head and tail, branch and rust in one day. The ancient and honorable, he is the head. And the prophet that teacheth lies, he is the tail. For the leaders of this people cause them to err, and they that are led of them are destroyed. So you see that? So the prophet that teaches lies is the tail. Y'all got that? The prophet that teaches lies is the tail. So now, wait. Let's go back to Revelation and read that context. Okay? Verse 19. Revelation 9:19. Let's go back and read the context now that we see with the tails, because you're going to see that again in the book of Revelation. Revelation 9:19. For their power is in their mouth and in their tails. And who are we talking about? Who are we dealing with? What religion is it? Power is in their mouth and in their tails. Prophet that teaches lies, he is the tail. There you go. The prophet that teaches lies, he is the tail. Who is the main prophet of the said religion that we are dealing with that has the stone? The prophet that teaches lies is the tail. No. We're talking about Islam and a prophet that, there you go. We're talking about Islam and a prophet that teaches lies. There you go. Now, if I was to come out and say that, people get offended, but we just read it in the word, did we not? I mean, it broke out the time period. It broke out everything for us. But you see, if I was to just say this to anybody, they would, this dude is crazy. This guy is nuts. But I had to show you the whole scriptures, go through all of the scriptures, piece by piece, break down the numbers in the Bible as prophetic, right? And then we see it clear. See? Praise the Most High. Okay? And it says, their power is in their mouth and in their tails. For their tails were like unto serpents, and they had heads with them, they do hurt. And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone and of wood, which neither can see nor hear nor walk. Neither repented they of their murders, nor of their sorceries, nor of their fornication, nor of their thefts. Talking about Rome now. That's the attack of Islam on Christianity. Most High allowed that attack to see if people would repent. And it said they didn't. There you go. There you go. Okay? Praise the Most High. All right? That was the beginning of now. We had the end of that fifth seal and the beginning of the sixth now. And now we're dealing with the 144,000. Okay? Now, I'm going to wait till tomorrow to go into chapter 10 because we covered a lot. Just finishing chapter 9. We covered a lot. But we still got chapter 10. And the title of today's lesson was the opening of the book of Daniel. But we didn't get to that. So we're going to have to get to that tomorrow by the grace of the Most High. That's chapter 10. That's Revelation chapter 10. So we got chapter 10 to deal with. And that's going to take a couple of studies. It may take both studies tomorrow. Then we got chapter 11 and the two witnesses to deal with. And there's a lot of that too. So there's a lot. There's a lot. But you can see now how the so-called Abrahamic religions try to influence the Hebrews negatively, right? And that the awakening brings us away from those religions because the religion of Yah is not by a man's name. Yah did not give us, like, he didn't say he didn't say you make yourself a name Israel. He called our father Israel. He didn't tell Abraham, I want you to go ahead and go make up a name and call yourself whatever you want. And Abraham said, okay, I'm gonna call myself Abraham. He said, no, your name is not Abraham anymore. You're Abraham. And then he said, your son's gonna be Isaac. Because you laughed, because Sarah laughed. Yishak, I'm calling your son, you gonna call him Isaac because you laughed. Then he said, okay, Isaac, you're gonna have a son. And Isaac said, yeah, I called him Esau and Jacob. No, his name is not Jacob anymore. His name is Yasha'ah, Israel. And so his children are the blessed children of Israel. We don't make those names up. They were given to us. Not by man, by Yah himself. Right? So we don't have a name, made up name of Islam or Christianity. Those names don't appear in the word. We don't have a made up name of Catholicism or SDA or Baptist or Pentecostal. Those names are not in the word. There's only one chosen people in the word, Israel. Israel. See that? There you go. You got to click on the notification bell, Brother Mature Approach. When you click on the notification bell, whenever I set it up for it to come, you have? I don't know what's going on there because if you click, well, you know how YouTube will act sometimes. I mean, we've seen it here, right? But if you click on the notification bell, you should, along with, of course, you subscribe. I mean, I'm assuming you did that, but if you click on the notification bell, you should see. You should see it. Let me ask you, Maturity. Let me ask you a question. When the next video comes up, do you get a notification on that? When the next video comes up, do you get the notification when the next video comes up? Because I'm wondering if they sending you that, but not sending you this one. See what I'm saying? I would not be surprised, but yeah, that's how that works. See, look at that. See that? But this one you don't get, right? That's amazing, isn't it? But I'll just pray about that one because I don't know what's going on, but I'm sorry about that. Yeah, if you clicked on the notification bell, you should be getting a notification that the video is coming. But just to let you know, yeah, that's right. And I was just gonna approach that, Raven Nix. He asked a good question. How do you know which one is the what? Right? Okay. Generally speaking, okay. Friday night and Saturday, it's Bible study. Any other day is Nix. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Wednesday night. I forgot about that. Wednesday night, Friday night, and Saturday is Bible study. Any other time is Nix. Right. So Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, if you see Wednesday night Ravens, or if you see a Friday night, or you see Saturday, you can know right now it's a Bible study. If it's any other time, any other day, it's going to be Nix. Y'all got that? So if you see me come on Sunday or Monday or Tuesday or even Wednesday during the morning, Thursday during the morning, Friday in the morning, that's going to be Knicks. But if you see me Wednesday night, Friday night, Saturday, anytime, it's going to be. The Bible studies are on Eastern time. I'm in Washington, D.C. And so on Wednesday night, they're generally around 7 o'clock. On Friday night, they're 9 o'clock Eastern, 9 p.m. Tonight, I think it was 9:15. On Saturday, they're 11 a.m. and about 1:30, 1:15 p.m. Yeah, so those are all Bible studies. So you're going to see, if you see Wednesday night, that's going to be a Bible study. Friday night, like tonight, that's going to be a Bible study. Tomorrow morning, that's going to be a Bible study. And tomorrow afternoon, that's going to be a Bible study. Most people are out doing their thing. So I really don't run into people that come in too many times on Sabbath, during the day to listen to the Bible study, because they out doing whatever. But people sometimes come, on Friday night, think it's a Knicks, like Friday night Knicks or whatever, but we don't watch Friday night Knicks because it's a Sabbath. So Wednesday night, Friday night, Saturday, yeah, it's going to be Bible study. Any other time, you might see me coming, and y'all seen me do videos on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, Friday morning. You see all of those. I've done videos on all of those days for the Knicks, but Bible studies are different. So we're Wednesday night, Friday night, and Saturday. Those are always Bible studies. And generally speaking, except when there's big news like a trade or something from the Knicks, generally speaking, on the live broadcast is going to be a Bible study. And the upload is going to be the Knicks. Okay, so when you see an upload, and y'all see them all the time I do the uploads, that's a Knicks. But if you see me going live, unless it's a special situation, there was a big trade, or something happened, or this week didn't happen, then you'll see, I'll just suddenly do a live broadcast. Usually during lunchtime when I'm at work, because I'm at work, I'll do a lunchtime live broadcast to talk about what happened. But generally, live is the Bible study, and uploads are the Knicks. Generally, that's how it works, right? With those times. All right. So yeah, I'm sorry for confusing. I didn't feel like starting a new channel. It was all too much. I was just trying to do something, and it blew up, and I didn't know it was going to blow up like that. My wife said, "Man, you spend too much time with them Knicks." And so I started. I did it for more than a year, and then I started monetizing it like in August or September, because he's like, "You need to get money for this. You spending too much time with this." So that's how that went. But anyway, yeah, if mommy's not happy, nobody's happy. That's how that worked. All right. So yeah, so we're gonna do tomorrow. That's right, brother William. I know you know for sure. So y'all know, so tomorrow we're going to continue in chapter 10, going into the 6th trumpet. And we're going to spend some time in that, because we're going to have a lot to study on this chapter 10 tomorrow. It's only 11 verses, but boy, you're going to see it's deep. It's deep. It's got a lot of Daniel in it. I'll give you that hint. A lot of Daniel in there. We're going to talk about that. Praise the Most High, maturity. Praise the Most High, yeah. So please be safe tonight. I hate to be the sober guy for y'all tonight, but I want to tell you, every Friday night, people get killed. Y'all know that, right? Every Friday night, people get killed. Every Friday night. Usually after midnight, between midnight and sunrise, somebody's going to get robbed, shot, raped, whatever. So please be safe, be careful out there. Okay, be careful and safe out there. May the Most High bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you, and lift up his countenance unto you and give you peace. Be careful. Yes, we're going to do the, generally, I'm planning on doing the question and answer, not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow. I'm going to be actually going to Mexico to finish getting my teeth fixed. So I'll be in a hotel near the Mexican border next Sabbath, and we're going to do question and answer at that time. Okay, And that's how. So because normally we do it at the end of the month. We just started doing it, I think, a month or so ago. So we're going to do it at the end of the month, not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow. We do a question and answer on Saturday. Okay. So please be safe out there. Wait, for pipes? Is that what that is? For real? I didn't know that. Praise, man. Craziness out here. But we know what the Most High is focused on. Praise Yah. We'll see y'all by the grace of the Most High tomorrow. Be safe out there. Shalom. Wow.